Yeah, but how do you get distribution? It's impossible to get distribution. I mean, you can't just say, let's do this now. It is a business. It's like saying, let's start a steel company tomorrow. There's pre-existing conditions that have to be dealt with before you just come up with a conservative script. They really don't like us. They really don't like our ideas. They have their eyes on us to ensure that our ideas don't get in there. There have been 5 movies made about Matthew Shepard, and he wasn't even killed for being gay because it affirmed the left's belief that people who are right of center are, but for hate laws, gay people are going to be attacked, and he wasn't even killed for being gay. He was killed because he was a drug addict, okay? That was exposed by Elizabeth Vargas at ABC News, but there are 5 movies made about him. Yet can you name one movie about Ronald Reagan other than one that attacked him? I mean, it is completely rigged out there. And if you were to get a movie out there that were actually to somehow, let's make a movie about a gay poet who happens to be pro-freedom, and it gets through the system. Like, let's say it was a movie about you. By the time it gets distributed and you've figured this thing out, the art critics are the leftiest of the leftiest of the leftiest in the world, and they're sitting there and they'll say, this is a piece of crap because of this. The entire system, from the development process to the pre-production to the production process to the distribution process to the places where a movie like that would be put, Sundance, San Sebastian, the Toronto Film Festival, the Berlin Film Festival. The entire system is rigged to bypass the American psyche. Because, so when George Clooney makes a little tiny movie that's a piece of crap, he premieres it in Europe. The elite of the elite of the elite give him a standing ovation, a palme d'or, and he comes back to the United States and says on the Tonight Show couch, you have no idea how much the people in Europe hate us and what we're doing. And they loved my movie that affirmed it because my movie attacked America, and we're entering into a second McCarthyism. I will lose my mind just trying to grapple with the concept that George Clooney thinks that he's taking on McCarthyism when conservatives in that town are afraid to open their mouths for fear of reprisal. I have hundreds of people who I know with big names that say, I can't support the President of the United States at a time of war, and this is pre-Iraq before it got controversial. Yet these same people feel comfortable going down to Venezuela and putting their arms around Hugo Chavez. Isn't that a paradox that's worth noticing? That they feel comfortable to pal around with tyrants, yet you can't support the President of the United States without losing your job. To me, it's the biggest story of my life. The problem is the mainstream media, is left of center and won't notice and self-correct the problem, and the media and the political structure is on the East Coast, so they just kind of write off Hollywood as a bunch of flakes. So I think it's a big deal. Well, let me ask them. You.
Hi, Joe Jensen. I'm with securefuture.org. And my question is more of like, I think that your point can be summed up as in like, maybe Republicans shouldn't take themselves so seriously as opposed to like lie to get ahead, but just be themselves to like not be as serious. I mean, I think that Hollywood would show something like An American Carol. I know that's like in Blockbuster, I saw it the other day, and it's conservative. So maybe if we were like more funny and like related to our audience as opposed to like being so not in touch. Do you think that would just help?
I mean, there's so many issues with the rebranding and the Hollywood issue that's just one of them. It's hard to go into an environment like, say, the Bill Maher show, where you're outnumbered and the audience is like Pavlov's dogs, and he feeds them exactly what they want. I mean, when I was on Friday night, he said, here's our resident conservative for the week. And so it already told the audience that you're supposed to boo this guy because I didn't dress, I didn't wear a tie, my hair's kind of goofy. He needed to tell the audience to start booing me. And so they started booing me before I even finished my sentences. It's hard to be lighthearted when you're in that. And afterwards, people said, you were scowling the entire time. I said, yeah, because I'm pissed off at these people. So I don't know how just smiling I'm sure that that's a pretty good strategy, I guess. But I mean, I think you kind of look.
Well, I'm saying more like how like Stephen Colbert like challenged Michael Steele to a rap off, and then like Steele didn't even show up, and then like Colbert like rapped and stuff. I mean, do you think that like we could step into those types of pop culture elements and show that we can be?
Yeah, those that can, but a lot of the ones that I've met don't. I mean, I've met with some seriously high-level people that just say, I don't pay attention to film or television. I'm like, wow. They have no idea what's going on out there. So I think that there needs to be like a wholesale, just like changing of the guard in conservatism, and bring in people who talk like us and act like us, and not, I mean, there's no one I revere more than Ronald Reagan, but it is a little weird to see a town that's still dressing like Ronald Reagan. You come into town, there's no other city that I know where everybody dresses like Ronald Reagan, and you can tell, oh, those are people that are mimicking the behavior of people that were the last time in this town where they could walk the streets proud of what they believed in. It's not a criticism, because if I worked here, I would probably do that as well to keep my job. I'm just saying we have to start approaching popular culture like it's as serious as it is.
Mo Lane, realestate.com. One problem that we've been finding is that every time we challenge in our blog, we always get at some point the same, like, you know, pretty much the same comment. Why are you bothering? You can't really do anything about this. Just ignore them and it'll go away.
Right, they're wrong. They're just wrong. I mean,
how do you fight that?
You just ignore them and you take it on, and you I mean, that's why I created Big Hollywood. I mean, you know, that's just like a small little thing that can be done. Yeah, you just take them on. They're wrong, by the way. I mean, they're just wrong.
Oh, I know that.
All right.
One more question.
Carrie?
Andrew, as far as political messages in movies, regardless of left or right, they usually tend to fall flat on their face because the political movies tend to be not very well done. That being said, how is it that conservatives can start just slipping messages through, which is what liberals tend to be very good at in their movies? You just be ooey gooey, dramas, comedies, etc., etc.
Well, you're not going to be able to do it. There are going to be people who get as high up in the food chain as a Mel Gibson, and that's a religious issue. And he was able to use all that capital that he had built up for all those years, and he went out there to try and get distribution about a movie that was about the savior of at least half the people, and more than half the people in this country. Mel Gibson, provable, bankable star, and he could not get a straight distribution deal. He had to work through outside means, and he disproved these people. So what Hollywood has done is they've created Fox Faith, Sony has its Faith division, but they've created this impenetrable firewall. They said, fine, we'll make these movies, we'll co-produce these movies for these churches, but we're not going to market them to the general audiences. So we'll take their money if they want to see a movie. We don't have the infrastructure right now, and we don't have anybody that's built up enough credibility. The highest you're going to get in that food chain is Clint Eastwood, and I think that Gran Torino is a great example of a guy who was able to kind of inject these subtle messages of what conservatism is. I mean, but that's Clint Eastwood, and he's 78 years old, and he's saying, maybe I'm going to go out, you know, in style and say this is what I believe in this country. And he basically was saying to ethnic minorities, saying, I have more faith in you to carry on the American tradition than I do my own spoiled, rotten, you know, kids. I was like, wow, that was a great message. It was a great conservative thing, but only a Clint Eastwood could pull that off. Okay, thank you very much.